Have you ever had someone start to share their feelings with you and then you kind of end up feeling like you just got run over by a truck instead of having a good conversation? There really is a difference between healthy sharing and sort of bullying with the intent to gain control. Healthy sharing is all about really looking for a win-win solution, being open and curious to each other and looking for something that is a win for both people. Whereas this kind of toxic bullying type sharing really only has one agenda. And usually if you try to share back with someone who's actually bullying, you end up in a really awful dynamic where they're not able to receive it at all with no amount of curiosity. And let's face it, one of my pet peeves is when someone's actually in an emotionally destructive relationship, emotionally abusive, narcissistic, controlling, manipulative relationship, something like that, and then people chalk up the problem to bad communication when it really isn't a communication issue. There's two things going on there. So today I want to talk about this dynamic, and I want to shed a little bit more light on what that looks like and what the difference really is between that healthy communication and that bullying with the intent to control the other person. I know it can be really confusing, so I hope this helps you just get a little more clarity on that. For those who are new to my channel, I'm Ketra Thompson, and I'm a certified master hypnotist and a life recovery coach. And before I dive into this topic, I want to remind you to please hit like and subscribe so you can be notified every time I post a new video. And if you'd like to find out more about how to work with me one-on-one, check out the link in the description to set up that complimentary consultation call. It's really easy. It will help you get some clarity regardless of whether or not you choose this kind of path to healing with me. And there's also a link on my website that allows you to download my free hypnosis relaxation recording, so you'll want to check that out too. So first, let's look at what it really looks like when someone is actually bullying you and calling it sharing, right? They think they're sharing their feelings, but they're really just bullying. There might be phrases used like, well, I'm just being honest, or, aren't you always asking me to share how I feel? When they're sharing something that is really critical without doing it in a calm, collected way, right? They get really defensive about any time that you might feel hurt by that bullying. They also use words like never and always quite a bit. So they'll say, you never do anything I want to do. And it's just because you've expressed that maybe you don't want to do what they want to do or go where they want to go, or you don't have the time or the emotional energy. You're saying no to some kind of request for some reason, and all of a sudden you never want to do anything I want to do comes flying out of their mouth. They use a lot of deflection. So this is because they have their own triggers, and anything not going their way can trigger them into creating a dynamic where they think they need to bulldoze their way through and bully the other person into submission. They oftentimes make assumptions about something you once said, or they twist it around and use it against you to validate that narrative that you never do this or you always do that, to kind of guilt trip you into agreeing to do what they want to do. So basically, they're sharing their feelings as a way of manipulating you, of bullying you, of getting you to do what they want and to ignore whatever concerns you may have about agreeing to this thing. And it's definitely not a win-win situation because they are not caring about how you feel about the outcome. They're not concerned that you feel validated or heard or that your concerns are addressed appropriately. They're really only concerned with getting their way and proving their singular perspective. They're not being open-minded, they're not being self-reflective, they're really not sharing from a centered space of mutuality and respect. So now that I've discussed a little bit about how that bullying process works, I want to discuss what a win-win conversation really does look like. The first step to having a win-win conversation is that you take the time you need to make sure that you are sharing from a centered, calm inner space where your heart rate isn't raised and you've had the time to self-reflect. The second step is asking if it's a good time to have a conversation where you can share your thoughts. Because we want to be aware that other people aren't always in the same mental space as us, and it's really good to ask. And if they are, you want to keep the focus on I statements. I felt, fill in the blank with your feeling word when this happened. And then make a request. Because if you want things to change in the future, you have to make a request. That's how you know if someone's willing to take you seriously and actually have a mutually respectful relationship. Not only if they're going to agree to the request, but if they follow through and actually do it. So then you would say, in the future when this happens, would you please do this instead? And then make a simple, fair request. So this is about sharing something that happened, how you felt when it happened, and then making the request for what you'd like to see different in the future. This should really be able to be done in a calm way where neither person is making assumptions about the other. If there's assumptions going on or projection going on, you're not in a safe space to have your feelings heard or validated, and you're probably going to end up going down a rabbit hole of just manipulation and bullying. And I want to point out, if you really are in a toxic relationship, then it's not likely going to happen. This kind of mutual sharing is not going to go well. And that should be a big sign to you that it's not a communication issue. There's actually some bullying going on, some control tactics going on, some passive aggressive behavior maybe, all kinds of things that go into a toxic dynamic. So attempting to be heard and understood should really only be attempted if you're both in a calm, centered place, if you know you're not going to get sucked in by taking the bait that someone else wants to dish out at you so that you have a big reaction and then they can point their finger back at you and go, see, look how crazy you are, when really it was kind of crazy making on their part. So you want to have a good level of discernment to know if it's even safe to engage. Oftentimes, if one partner is really shut off from their own feelings, they'll expect the other partner to be shut off too. Why wouldn't they? That's how they live. They just assume that's how everybody lives. And so they'll hope that you are just going to be shut down from your emotions as well. And your emotions can come off as a threat when you are not in a relationship that can honor each other's own feelings. So basically, if one person is in touch with their feelings and the other person is emotionally shut down, this dynamic doesn't work very well, and that requires some real self-work on each individual person's part before you can come together very successfully doing that. So if you're in a situation where there is this sort of problematic dynamic, I want to talk a little bit about what you can do to change those issues and to address those triggers. The best place to start is addressing your internal triggers and getting some help to navigate that so that you can actually reframe your belief system around them and reconnect to your own deep sense of self-worth. Because on a subconscious level, if you're connected to your self-worth, then you can stay calm and collected because you know that your worth is not defined by what anyone else thinks of you. The problem is, if you are stuck in a toxic relationship, it's very likely that you've lost your sense of self-worth. You've lost your sense of calm-centeredness. You probably struggle to just stay calm. When you're being bullied or accused of things that aren't true, you get really defensive because you know the truth. And so in the process, you end up taking the bait and going down this really toxic path with them. And so this process of you healing you first really is the first step. When you heal your core beliefs on a subconscious level, you finally allow yourself to be not only more connected to your self-worth, but also to your confidence. And confidence plays a big role in changing the dynamic of your life. So you want that self-worth, you want that confidence, and you also want competence. Because confidence without competence doesn't get you very far. And that competency is understanding, now that you're connected to yourself, you can understand how you use certain behaviors to choose wisely, to not engage, to not be so affected, to not be so sucked in, to not become so reactive, and to ultimately choose to have a life that is in alignment with what you want for yourself. The quickest thing you can do, even if you haven't addressed these things on a subconscious level, is call that time out. Just say, I need a break. and disengage as quickly as you notice that things are going sideways, because it's going to lessen the damage that you receive from the toxic person and create the space that you need between the two of you. And I want to mention, if you're the one doing the bullying, if you're the one that has to manipulate the situation to always get your way, there is also help for you too. A customized hypnotherapy plan can help you address why you behave this way, where it came from, what the root cause is, and allow you to reframe your belief system around that root cause so that you can start cultivating a new way of being. We don't have to be who we've always been. We can change who we are, but it really helps to do it on a subconscious level so you're not just wearing yourself out. Eliminating those subconscious blocks is the most rapid way to create lasting change in your life. When we use our willpower, it's like it just hits up against this gatekeeper over the subconscious mind, not allowing us to make the changes that we want as effectively as we want. So when you use hypnosis as a really comprehensive tool to get into your subconscious mind, you will find that the traction you get from this is so much more rapid. It's so much different than just trying on your own. It actually gives you momentum in a way that you may have never experienced before. So if you're ready to stop the pattern, to stop engaging in the toxic relationship, to stop being the toxic person if that's who you are, if you're ready to stop, set up that consultation. You won't regret it. Because the fact is that the people who stay too long, they have issues they need to work out in their core belief system. And then the people who are being toxic in their relationship, they have issues they need to work out in their core belief system. Both people just need a little help and a little guidance and access to their subconscious mind so that they can create the life that they want. Don't forget, I also have that free relaxation recording in the link below, so you'll want to check that out. And remember, when you change yourself, you change the world around you. You change how people interact with you and how they react to you and the reality in your life. So until next time, curate a life by your own design.